Let's talk about prom, a major event in a high schooler's life. Preparations can start months in advance, with date asking turning into elaborate productions called promposals. There's the hunt for the perfect dress, the sharpest tuxedo, matching colors, corsages, not to mention booking a limousine for your perfect arrival. Once at the venue, pulsating music echoes as teenagers dance and laugh. It's a magical night where friendships are cemented, crushes are confessed, and unforgettable memories are made.
Let's wind the clock back to the late 19th century. Picture a simpler time in America when the fast pace of modern life had yet to take hold. In the world of education, universities were taking their first steps towards creating a more well-rounded student body, focusing not just on academic development, but social etiquette too. Thus, the promenade was born. Dances were closely chaperoned, and manners were of the utmost importance. Young women would sip their tea delicately, while young men would practice their best conversation skills. Proms provided an important training ground for social interaction in a controlled, safe environment. It was also a chance for these young adults to show off their newly acquired etiquette to their friends and their families, a critical stepping stone in the transition from adolescence to adulthood.
The promenade, or as we know it, the prom, was a formal dance event, a chance for young men and women to learn the intricacies of a polite society. These events were very modest affairs, far from the glitz and the glamour that we see today with prom. Attendees would don their Sunday best and gather in a community hall or a local venue. In contrast to the more boisterous celebrations we see today, these events were defined by their decorum and restraint. As the 20th century dawned, the promenade started to trickle down from universities to the high schools. Schools saw it as an opportunity to instill proper social behavior in its students. And by the 1920s, prom was a standard feature in American high schools. They were still quite modest events, but they had a profound impact on the teenage attendees. This was often the very first event that these young men and women ever attended. It's fascinating to look back on early proms. They were typically held in the school gym or cafeteria, and students would decorate it themselves. It was all about socializing, moving to the rhythm of the band, and savoring those fleeting memories of youth. But change was on the horizon. As American society evolved, so too would its traditions. And the humble promenade was about to embark on a journey of transformation, becoming the prom we know and love today.
Welcome to the fabulous 50s. Picture this, a post-war America bustling with optimism and prosperity. And teenagers are coming into their own distinct social group. With this newfound recognition, the high school prom begins its own evolution.
Prom night was anticipated with buzzing excitement. Some teenagers mustered up the courage to ask their potential date, while others anxiously waited for their crush to ask them.
Proms during this time were stepping out of school gymnasiums and into fancier locales. Hotels, country clubs, even cruise ships. These weren't just school dances anymore, they were grand events, right down to the themed decorations and live bands. Students would pour their creativity into the event, building elaborate sets and backdrops to match the theme of the night.
And once the date was set, that was when the search for the perfect outfit began. And for most teenagers, this was their first dive into formal wear, which was a thrilling but could also be a very nerve-wracking experience.
Arriving at prom, you'd see an explosion of colors and fabrics. Girls in hoop skirts and crinoline. Young men looking sharp in their tailored suits, hair slicked back with pomade. The dance itself was a swirl of excitement, the live band striking up popular tunes and ballads. Friends and sweethearts would take the floor, moving rhythmically under the soft glow of a disco ball. And then the crowning moment, literally, the introduction of the prom king and queen tradition. Selected by their peers, these royals often represented the epitome of high school popularity. This American tradition of crowning a king and queen brought an extra level of anticipation to the night, adding to the allure and magic of prom. Now let's talk about the fashion. If there's one thing we can say for sure, it's that prom fashion is as diverse as the teenagers who've attended these dances over the years. Each decade has left its distinct mark on prom attire, reflecting the prevailing trends, cultural shifts, and sometimes the rebellious spirit of the youth. In the 1950s, young ladies favored ballerina-length dresses with voluminous skirts a la Audrey Hepburn, emphasizing the era's focus on elegance. The dresses often had intricate details such as lace overlays, sequins, and satin ribbons. The gentlemen, on the other hand, donned classic black tuxedos, hearkening the likes of Cary Grant and Gregory Peck. As the tumultuous 60s arrived, prom became a reflection of the larger societal shifts. Schools began to break down racial barriers. And slowly but surely, prom started to integrate. It was a tense and difficult transition, but it was an important and necessary step towards inclusivity. The Cultural Revolution in the 60s and 70s had an impact on the fashion choices as well. Gone were the petticoats and princess gowns, replaced by long, sleek silhouettes that echoed the free spirit of the era. Earthy colors and bold prints were the rage, reflecting the influence of the hippie and disco movements. And the guys, well, they embraced brightly colored tuxedos with ruffled shirts. Like the 70s, the 80s prom fashion had a lot more free spirit. It was more about expression rather than formality. This shift was reflected not just in the fashion, but in the music and atmosphere as well. The live bands were gradually replaced by DJs spinning the latest hits, reflecting the growing influence of pop and rock music. The 1980s gave us some of the most memorable and, yes, sometimes cringeworthy prom looks. Think puff sleeves, high necklines, and ruffles on top of ruffles on top of ruffles galore. These were the years of the dynasty dress, with big hair, bigger sleeves, and gaudy accessories to match. And men were making fashion statements too, with pastel-colored tuxedos and bow ties, often matching their date's dress. In the 90s, prom continued to evolve. Many schools started to implement stricter dress codes and behavior guidelines, aiming to maintain a certain decorum amid the growing revelry. Despite these rules, students found ways to make prom their own, whether through unique promposals or personal twists on a traditional attire. Prom fashion did a complete 180 from the 80s to the 90s, taking a sleeker, more minimalist turn. Girls opted for slinky, body-hugging gowns with thin spaghetti straps or even strapless designs, in a nod to the sleek silhouettes popularized by stars like Kate Moss and Gwyneth Paltrow. For the guys, black and white tuxedos did make a comeback, but with a more relaxed, slightly undone feel. Prom fashion in the 2000s was a blend of various influences, embodying a lively and eclectic era. In the early part of the decade, the dresses were often sleek and minimalistic, much like the 90s. However, as the decade progressed, a shift towards more voluminous and extravagant gowns emerged. Bold and bright colors like hot pink and electric blue became fashionable, along with metallic fabrics and accents that added a glamorous touch. Floral and animal prints also found their way into prom fashion, as did intricate beadwork, sequins, rhinestones, and crystals that provided texture and sparkle. Men's fashion was not left behind, with classic tuxedos often paired with vests or cummerbunds in bright colors to match their dates. The whole look was tied together with sophisticated hairstyles and a sense of youthful exuberance that characterized the 2000s. These proms were vibrant and stylish affairs, reflecting the energy of a time marked by cultural and fashion experimentation. Prom fashion in the 2010s was marked by an elegant fusion of classic sophistication and contemporary edge. The decade saw the prominence of figure-hugging mermaid silhouettes and romantic ball gowns, along with the emergence of high-low hems that provided a modern twist. Slim-fitting tuxedos and suits were very on-trend as well, often paired with skinny ties or bow ties, reflecting a tailored and modern aesthetic. There was a move away from the traditional black and white suits Instead, young people embrace the alternative colors like navy blue and charcoal gray, and sometimes patterned jackets or shirts for a unique flair. In the 2020s, we are seeing the late 2010s trends bleed into this decade because it is still early. I am not a fashion forecaster, not in the slightest, but I do hope the 2020s brings back mod. Truly, I don't think we will ever have like a cohesive, for lack of a better term, style again. We have endless places to shop, and plenty of those shops offer niche styles, allowing each and every prom attendee to embrace their individuality. Through the decades, prom has grown from a simple debutante ball into a full-fledged cultural event, mirroring the changing times and the ever-evolving identity of the American youth.
While prom is often idealized as a night of celebration and joy, it is important to acknowledge the less glamorous side, the pressures and dangers that can unfortunately cast a shadow on this high school rite of passage.
One major concern is driving under the influence. For some students, prom night becomes an excuse for excessive partying and reckless behavior. This, coupled with inexperience behind the wheel, can lead to tragic consequences. Every year, there are heart-wrenching stories of prom nights ended abruptly by DUI-related accidents. Schools, communities, and even students themselves have recognized these dangers, launching various initiatives to promote a safe prom experience. From pre-prom assemblies to sober graduation parties, the message is clear. Prom should be a night to remember, not one to regret.
Then there's the societal pressure that comes with prom. The expectations can be immense, from the promposal to the outfits, the perfect date, the perfect after party.
In the age of social media, where every moment is documented and shared, this pressure has only intensified. For some students, this can lead to stress, anxiety, and feelings of exclusion.
Prom has been a stage for societal issues to play out. Racial segregation, LGBTQIA rights, body shaming, and more. Some see prom as perpetuating outdated gender norms and socioeconomic disparities, with expensive tickets and attire putting it out of reach for some students. But it is not all bleak. There are also efforts to counteract those pressures and to redefine what the perfect prom looks like. Campaigns promoting body positivity, individuality, and inclusivity are encouraging students to embrace their own idea of prom and to make it a night of their own. Prom, like any social event, reflects the complexities of our society, the good, the bad, the joyous, and the challenging. And while it's important and awesome to highlight the magic and nostalgia of prom, it's equally vital to acknowledge and address the issues that surround it.
It's no secret that prom is big business. In fact, this annual tradition significantly fuels several sectors of the American economy. From fashion to beauty, transportation to the event, prom season sparks a surge in spending that reverberates across industries. Prom season is a high-stakes period for designers, boutiques, and retail stores. Teenagers and their parents invest hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars to find that perfect dress or tuxedo. It's not just about the outfit, though. Don't forget about the shoes, the clutch, the jewelry. All those little details make a big impact. Then there's the beauty industry. Hair salons and makeup artists see a considerable uptick in bookings as prom night approaches. And it's not just professional services. Retail beauty sales also increase as young adults seek the perfect lipstick or the ideal shade of eyeshadow to complete their prom look. And then the transportation. As I mentioned in the intro, most prom goers opt to arrive in style, renting limousines or even party buses for the night. This seasonal demand provides a significant boost to local transportation companies and luxury car rental services. Moreover, prom venues themselves benefit from this annual tradition. Hotels, country clubs, and other formal event spaces often host proms, earning revenue from booking fees, catering, and other associated costs. And arguably the most important to acknowledge, the local businesses that see a boost during prom season. Florists, for example, prepare countless corsages and boutonnieres for prom goers, while local restaurants may be booked for pre-prom dinners. Prom, in many ways, is an economic powerhouse, driving significant business to a wide array of industries. The American prom serves as a momentous occasion. It's more than a party, more than a dance. It's a symbol, a celebration, a milestone. Prom provides young people with a unique experience, one that often serves as a dress rehearsal for future formal events. The planning, the preparation, the etiquette, all these aspects serve as valuable lessons in responsibility and social graces. It's not all about responsibility, though. It's also about camaraderie and shared experiences. This is one of the last times that these students might be together in one place, a realization that often makes the event emotional and bittersweet. Ultimately, prom is a symbolic farewell to high school and an invitation to the future. It's a rite of passage that captures the cusp of adulthood, a moment suspended between nostalgia for the past and anticipation for the future.
So whether it's the excitement of the promposal, finding the perfect outfit, the dancing, the laughters, or even the goodbyes, prom is a memory imprinted on the hearts of millions of American teenagers. It's a testament to the enduring spirit of youth, the evolution of tradition, and the timeless joy of celebration.
From its humble beginnings in the 19th century to the spectacle it is today, prom has journeyed through time, adapting and evolving with each generation. It is a testament to our ever-changing society, a mirror reflecting our values, our struggles, and our triumphs. And for each teenager who steps onto that dance floor, it's a night that will be forever etched in their hearts.